I've seen the video on it. You have a video on YouTube, and it's nicely explained. Been people's opinion? Is there anybody that's kind of said, okay, we need to kind of move this forward? Where is it?
So the questions you've asked are typical questions. How do I fund it is a big question. And so one of the barriers to entry is we need to get people to understand a few basic principles. One is that the value is here. I am the collateral. It's my ability to work. It's my ability to produce assets. I am the person who is valuable. So people need to understand that they are empowered to make their own money. And by make money, I don't mean earn money. I mean create money. I have the power to create money. So that's one barrier to entry, is an educational barrier to help people understand how this can be done. The next barrier is that if you only have two people on a chip network, it's not very useful. If you get a third person, it becomes a little bit more useful, but there is a sort of a critical mass problem. So adoption is difficult. And so it will take a little bit of time for people to establish first what I would call some contrived tiny networks. By contrivance, I mean we need to get a lunch group together, and we need to just start trading chips in our lunch group. And then this other lunch group over here is doing it, and then they can start transmitting. There are some ways businesses could get involved. A business could start paying its employees in part with a little bit with my chips. And so say it's a grocery store, for example. If the grocery store paid its employees 10% in chips, those employees could come back and buy the groceries. That's a bidirectional, bilateral trading relationship where chips work really well because they can be directly spent at the same place where they're issued. If we had a grocery store and a hardware store doing this, now the employees could not only buy groceries, but they could also buy hardware, because the chips can ripple through the network and can make it over to this other supplier. So with this critical mass problem, we would have to start out with some people who are devoted to make this happen, and are ready to work on the basis of this small network, believing that it will grow later. And so that's an adoption problem that needs to be taken on. And then obviously there's just the technical issues. Is the software is what I would call a proof of concept layer right now. It's not ready for prime time use, but it's ready for testing. It is strong enough that people can set up a server and they can execute tallies with their friends. They can begin to trade on this, but it's not production grade. Okay, it will have problems. So you need to not use it for large sums today. You need to test it. And if you're a programmer, you need to get involved with our team, and you need to help and come do bug fixes and figure out the features that are not fully functioning yet, and harden the software. There's also some new advances in the works. I don't know if you're familiar with the libp2p network, but we're in the process of integrating libp2p back into my chips. libp2p is the basis of IPFS, which is a new kind of a new Web3 version of the World Wide Web. And so we're in the process now of integrating that into my chips, which will take it to the next layer.